Shalom, shalom. It's the brother Kadash. I want to start off by giving all praises to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem, Kadash. That will honor to the apostles of greatness. So peace, blessings, and honors to all the brothers in this truth. Keep going hard. This has to be said, man, because people act like they don't get it. And see, this is why you have to read the Bible, because the things are old is just coming back around, so you can understand it and you can understand what happened, because these things already happened in the Bible before. So the things that we're seeing today, because nothing new, there's nothing new under the sun. It's just happening all over again. This is how you're able to tell prophecy by reading the Bible. Now, there's been a thing going out there saying, okay, the other nations, you know, these other groups that don't truly believe, they can't possibly truly believe, because they're saying the other nations aren't going to be slaves. They're going to be more like under us, and we're going to be, on the top because we're the Israelites, but the other nations aren't going to be slaves. And yes, they are going to be slaves. And then people are even going as far as to say other nations could be saved with us and they're going to be in the kingdom arm to arm with us. It's like, what? How did you get that? Did you even read the Bible? When it tells you who the new covenant is for, does it say any other nations amongst it, or do it just says the house of Judah and the house of Jacob? When you go to the kingdom and you read Revelations chapter 21 and you get to the 12 gates, do it mention any other nations' names on the gates? No, and it tells you what the other nations are going to be doing in Revelations 21. It tells you it all throughout the Bible. I'm going to get this. So the other nations will be slaves, servants, because they're not going to have a choice. Anytime the other nations dwelt amongst Israel, they were never in the power with Israel, and that's not going to change. They always, if they dwelt amongst us, they became servants to us, because that's the way it's supposed to be, because that's the order that Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai set up on earth. It's for the Israelites to run the earth. But with us running the earth and our law, statutes, and commandments, the whole world will rejoice, because the whole world will be a better place. You'll have better quality of air, better quality of water. You won't have global warming. You won't have mourning. You will have people rejoicing. Everybody will have food. Everybody will have a peace. You see what I'm saying? But when the wicked is in rulership, then the earth is mourning. It's a rat race, and then you got billionaires and stuff that got most of the wealth. Why there's people out there in third world countries that can't even don't even know if they're going to get any food, and getting their land and their resources all took from them. Esau goes around rape, robbing, and killing, taking land, taking resources. If they even hear that you have any resources, they gonna come take it or put sanctions on you. But this is Joshua chapter 9. So let's prove what I've been saying. This is gonna be a lesson. Hopefully it's gonna be edifying. This is Joshua chapter 9. I'm gonna just start at the first verse. It says, "And it came to pass where all the kings were which were on the side of Jordan, in the hills and in the valleys and all the coasts of the great sea over against Lebanon, the Hittite and the Amorite and Canaanite and Perizite and the Hivite and the Jeshurite heard thereof, that they gathered themselves together to fight with Joshua and with Israel with one accord." So they wanted to be with us, right? Because we was coming back into our land and we was taking all our land back. And that's going to happen again. And it says, and because remember in Daniel, I believe that's Daniel, it says the saints of the Most High should take the kingdom. And the kingdom should not be left to another people in Daniel 2:44. It says, and when the habitants, right, of Gibeon heard what Joshua had done into Jericho and into Ai, they did work willy, and went and made as if they had been ambassadors, and took old sacks upon their asses, and wine bottles old and rent and bound up, and old shoes and clouded upon their feet, and old garments upon them, and all the bread of their provisions was dry and muddy. And they went to Joshua into the camp of Gilead, um, Gilgal, and said unto him And to the men of Israel, we be come from a far country. Now, therefore, make a league with us. So they always wanted to make a league with us, man. We can't do nothing on our own without the other nations coming and wanting to make a league of us. If the Israelites, so called, if we just went all back to Africa in the desert somewhere and started building a city, kind of like Akon City, the other nations would come over there messing with us, come over there wanting to be a part of it. Look at the movie Black Panther. You know, they had their whole own nation, and then they had that Edomite came over there, you know, and he had to talk sense to them and tell them how to do this and what to do that, and then he had to save them at the end by blowing up the chariot that was going to deliver the weapons to the rest of the nations around the earth so they could raise up and go to war of the color people, but he had to save it, and man, and now the Edomite was involved in it. You see what I'm saying? It can't never be something that's just for us. You know, but everybody else could be just for their people, but we can't. Now it says, verse 7, in the man of Israel said unto the Hittites, Persever, ye dwell among us, and how shall we make a league with you? And they said unto Joshua, we are thy servants. And Joshua said unto them, who are ye? And from whence come ye? So even the other nations knew, okay, we're going to dwell amongst Israel. We're going to dwell as servants. So they had to be servants or else, you know. And it says, and they said unto him, from a very far country, thy servants are come because of the name of the Lord thy God. Now, this is important because this breaks down a lot of different things. The other nations knew that the Lord thy God, they said the Lord thy God. They didn't say the Lord our God. They said, so they were admitting right there that the Lord was the God of Israel. All the nations knew that. Now today you got wicked brothers that's trying to tell us, you know, we need to make a league with the heathen, and we need to be arm to arm with the heathen, and then our God is going to become their God just because our Lord created them and created everything. No, that's not true. Read Romans 9. It tells you who's the children of God is, and the other children that come from Adam, they are not the children of God. It tells you that in Romans 9. But this is what you got right now. The wicked man of Israel doing right now. Here, let me jump to it because I just read this last night. This is Maccabees chapter 2. Mattathias, he's a tough brother, man. A tough brother. The Mattathias revolt, that was great. That was great, man. And it was a great read. It's just one chapter in First Maccabees chapter 2, but that was a great revolt, man. Here, let me see if I can find, because I believe that this is First Maccabees chapter 1. I want to get straight to the point. Verse 11. In those days went there out of Israel wicked man, who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. Since we departed from them, we have had so much sorrow. So it's the same thing that was going on during the time of Moses in the wilderness when the Israelites was like, did you bring us, pretty much was saying, did you bring us out here just to kill us? You know, we should go back to Egypt. So it's the same thing. They were saying, look, let us make a covenant with the heathen that are around about us. And the Bible calls these men wicked men. So you had these same men back today saying that everybody could be saved and everybody should be one people. It says, so this device pleased them well. Certain of the people were so forward herein that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinance of the heathen. And that's what happens is happening today. You're doing after the ordinance of the heathen. You're keeping Thanksgiving. You're keeping Christmas. You're kind of, and you're worshiping. When you're doing that, you're worshiping to their idolatry and their gods. The image of Jesus Christ that you Google that pop up. You're following their gods because you're following the heathen, and that's a wicked thing. And there's wicked man telling you that you could be arm to arm with these heathen. Here, let me jump to another one real quick too. Verse 41, same chapter. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people. See? So he said all should be one people. The same thing when you got these dudes teaching today that everybody could be saved and everybody's going to be one people in the kingdom if they just believe in the Lord. It says, and everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. Yeah, many also of the Israelites considered consenting into his religion and sacrificing to idols and profaning the Sabbath day. That's what happens when we're all mixed up. We end up sinning against our Lord and following them. Same thing happened in Tower of Babel. Like I was saying, I put up another video. Pilate believed that Yahushua was the king of the Jews. That don't mean that salvation was for him. It was never said that salvation was for him being a Roman, being an Edomite. You see what I'm saying? So it don't matter if just they believe. You have to be an Israelite by flesh first, and you have to be an Israelite by spirit too, inwardly. Back in Joshua 9, right? So they already admit, like, look, the Lord is thy God. It says, for we have heard the fame of him and all that he did in Egypt. And Israel got fame too when he did those things for Israel and Egypt. And the Lord said he's going to get fame for us all over again. Because he's going to destroy this place kind of like Egypt was destroyed, because there's going to be plagues that's going to come on onto Mystery Babylon too. And then we're going to get fame in all these different places. This video might be kind of long. This video may be kind of long, because I'm going to pull the precepts. To go along with it. Here, let me find this one real quick. If I can find it. Here, I'll find it. But yeah, though. Back in Joshua 9, and it says, verse 10, and all that he had did to the two kings of the Amorites were behind Jordan and Shiloh, the king of Heshbon and the Og king of Bashan, which was at Ashtarvis. So let me stop right there. But see, it's just the point that they came and they had already knew, like, look, we're gonna follow you, and we're gonna be servants, and because the Lord is thy God. He came and he's showing everybody around that he's the Lord thy God. So they could see a difference. They could see that the Lord was for these certain people, not for everybody around, because he was destroying them and delivering them into the hand of Israel. So it wasn't like, oh, he's the Lord of everybody. Everybody, the other heathen around, they knew that he was the Lord of Israel. So it's the same thing today, because remember, the Lord said he don't change. This is Zephaniah chapter 3, verse 19. It says, behold, at that time I will undo all that afflicted thee, and I will save her that hougheth, and gather her that was driven out. Right? That's Israel. And I will get them praise and fame in every land where they have been put to shame. So we've been put to shame here in America, but the Lord going to give us praise and fame, because when he come back, you're going to see who he's coming for. And that's going to right away give us praise and fame. Oh, these are the true Israelites? Wisdom of Solomon chapter 5. These are the true Israelites? Yeah. So with that is going to come a lot of praise and a lot of fame. Just like during the time of Joshua. And the other nations are going to come and try to leech on to us when they see us get that praise and that fame. And they're going to come just like it says in Joshua 9, what I just got done reading. That's why I read it. They're going to come doing the same thing. Let us be your servants. Let us be your slaves. The Lord is thy God. He's the Lord of Israel. He's y'all Lord. He doing all these great things for y'all. The kingdom is for y'all. Could we be your slaves? Could we be your servants? And then that's when you get to Isaiah 14. But pump the brakes on that. Let me get a couple precepts. See how this is all adding up? That same thing is going to happen all over again. They going to come and say, look, we want to be under y'all. Just let us be under y'all, man. Y'all got this great kingdom. Just let us be y'all servants, y'all slaves. This is Luke 19. And this is why we call them slaves rather than just like a servant, like a butler today. No, they're going to be slaves. Luke 19, chapter 19, verse 27, because of this. But those my enemies which would not that I should reign over them, bring them hither and slay them before me. That's the main difference between the servant and the slave. A servant could probably pay their way out. You see what I'm saying? You pay your way out and you could be free. Or if you just don't want to work no more, you quit and you just ain't gonna get paid no more, and then you go to be a servant somewhere else or go kind of like you working a job. But a slave, you have no choice. Your only choice is do this or death. So Luke 19, verse 27 again. But those my enemies, which would not that I should reign over them, bring them hither and slay them before me. And if you want to know who the enemies is, go to Psalms chapter 83, and that tells you who the enemies are. Matter of fact, let's not cut no corners. Because a lot of times I break stuff down and I just quote it because I be trying to stay on track. But you know, we sometimes you got to break things all the way down and don't cut no corners. You know, the best ability you can. Psalms 83. Keep not thy silence, O God, hold not thy peace, and be not still, O God. For lo, thy enemies, so who are the enemies? Make atonement, and they that hated thee have lifted up the head and have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation. So that's why we don't know that we're Israelites. We call ourselves blacks, Negroes, Spics, and stuff like that. That the name of Israel may be in no more remembrance. See, it was in no more remembrance, but it's coming back now. We waking up the valley of dry bones. See, then I have to go get Ezekiel 37. I ain't gonna go that far though, man. Ezekiel 37, the valley of dry bones. Look it up. For they have consulted together with one consent, they are confederate against thee. The tabernacles of Edom, and the Ishmaelites, the Moab, and the Hagnerness, Gabal, Ammon, Amalek, and the Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre. Those are our enemies, which, you know, you got the so-called white man, you got the Ishmaelites, is the so-called Muslims, Arabs, Moab is the Chinese, Ammon is the Japanese. You got African nations, Tyre in there. Amalek is Edomites, Israelis. So Philistines. So all the other nations pretty much has been our enemies because they consulted and they took crafty counsel to keep us down. So when you get back to Luke 19, it says, but those my enemies, which would not that I should reign over them, bring them hither and slay them before me. So so if they do make it past the destruction, they run to their little bunkers and stuff like that, they're gonna be took to the kingdom to serve bondage. And if they don't want to, they're gonna be slain in front of him. And Yahushua said, bring them to me, because this red letter, he said, bring them to me. Yahushua. You know, through him the whole world was created. Said he's the heir of all things. He said, bring them to me and kill them in front. That's what slay mean. Kill them in front of me. He wanted to see it. So come on, man. He ain't playing, man. He not the so-called Jesus Christ dude that you look up, and you know, you got a pale-faced man with long hair and look like, you know, I don't even need to go that far, but he not that. You know, he coming back fierce, a warrior. This is Amos chapter 9, verse 11. In that day will I raise up the tabernacle of David that is fallen, and close up the breaches thereof, and I will raise up his ruins, and I will build it as in the day of old. And where that's happening right now, with the Israelites waking up, kind of like Ezekiel 37, where I was talking about the valley of dry bones. This is kind of the same thing. He's raising up the tabernacle of David, you know, and he's kind of building up us. That's why we out there on the highways and byways, speaking the truth, waking up other brothers, you know. It says that they may possess the remnant of Edom. So Esau is still around, because how are we going to possess the remnant of Edom if he ain't around no more? He's still around. Obadiah chapter 1 ain't happened yet, but that's going to happen. It says, in all the heathen, all those heathen that was against us in Psalms chapter 83, all the heathen that want to come make a league with us, we going to possess them. What does possess mean? Which are called by my name, say the Lord that does this. So it's the Lord that's doing this, right? So I possess my car. My car is a slave to me. My car ain't no servant or no, like, just a worker for me. My car can't get up and just drive off and say, look, I don't want to drive you to the store today. No, because I possess it. It's a possession of mine. So when I go and I press the button and it starts up, and I want it to go, and I want to drive it to Walmart, or if I want to drive it to New York or something like that, or California, guess what? It's gonna get up and it's gonna drive. It's gonna do it when I say it because I possess it. It's a possession of mine. So when Esau and all the heathen that are around about become possessions of ours, they ain't gonna have no choice. Luke 19 just told you they're gonna be slaves. Here, let me grab another one. This is Zechariah chapter 14, kind of giving you a glimpse of what it's going to be like in the kingdom. I'm going to try to get straight to the point. Verse 12. And this should be the plague wherewith the Lord should smite all the people that have fought against Jerusalem. Their flesh should consume away while they stand upon their feet, and their eyes should consume away in their holes, and their tongues should consume away in their mouths. So we just read all the people that was trying to oppress us, that fought against us in Psalms chapter 83. All those people, Edom got a horrible future, man. Amos told us that he's going to be a possession. You see what I'm saying? Psalms 83 told us that he was against us. Obadiah chapter 1 tells us that he's going to be wiped out. And this is the plague with nuclear weapons. All those nukes are going to be shot up in the sky. They're going to come over here, refer to Revelation chapter 18, and hit Mystery Babylon. The other nations are going to see Mystery Babylon on smoke, and it's going to be burnt up. Referring to Isaiah chapter 13, this place is going to be a habitation of, just wild animals. It's going to be a vast desert. It's going to be a desolate place. It's going to be destroyed because all the blood that's been spilled, all the Israelite blood that's been spilled. And what's going to cause, when a person is standing on their feet, for their eyes should consume away in their holes, and their tongues should consume away in their mouth. That's talking about nuclear weapons. Look at the atomic bomb that was dropped on Japan. These same things happen. Right? Verse 13. And it should come to pass in that day that a great torment from the Lord should be among them, and they should lay hold everyone on the hand of his neighbor, and his hand shall raise up against the hand of his neighbor. All hell gonna break loose, man. Everybody gonna be against everybody. And Judah also shall fight at Jerusalem, and the wealth of all the heathen round about shall be gathered together, gold and silver and apparel in great abundance. And this is going to happen all over again. Why? Because if you read Revelations 21, it tells us that our gates should be open. In Isaiah chapter 60, it tells us that our gates is going to be open because the heathen is going to be bringing they're going to be bringing anything that they have worth their glory to our gates to give to us. So now, saying in Zechariah chapter 14, we're going to take all the gold and everything. Verse 15, and it shall be the plague of the horse and the mule, of the camel and of the ass, and all the beasts that shall be in these tents as this plague. And it should come to pass that everyone that is left in all the nations which came against Jerusalem should even go up from year to year to worship the king in the Lord of hosts, and to keep the feast of the tabernacle. So they're going to be forced to keep the law, statutes, and commandments because the whole world is going to be in order. And they're going to be forced to go up and worship our king, which is going to be King David set back up in the kingdom. That was his promise. And worship the Lord of hosts, meaning Yahweh Shai, and over Yahweh Shai, Yahweh. So Yahweh Shai, King David. The 12 apostles, because their name is going to be written on every foundation in the kingdom. It tells you that in Revelations 21 too. I'm going to have to go run to Revelations 21 after this. And then you got the 144,000 elect, right? It says, and if the family of Egypt go not up and come not, that have no rain, there should be a plague wherewith the Lord will smite the heathen that come not up to keep the feast of tabernacles. So once they get done serving their bondage, they hard slavery, and they're able to go back to their lands, if they don't come up, then the Lord gonna smite them. He gonna smite the heathen with different plagues and stuff like that. This should be the punishment of Egypt and the punishment of all nations that come not up to keep the feast of the tabernacle. So where do you get that all nations could be saved with Israel when it's telling you what's going to happen to all the other nations? And it's clearly showing you a difference between all the other nations and Israel, because Israel gonna be made perfect with the law, statutes, commandments in their inward parts. All the other nations, if they don't come up, they gonna be smite. So they still gonna be getting judgment on them, right? And in that day, there should be upon the bells of the horses holiness unto the Lord, and the pots of the Lord house should be like balls before the altar, bowls before the altar. And every pot Jerusalem and Judah should be holiness. See, we're going to be holiness. And to the Lord of hosts, and all that they sacrifice should come and take of them and see therein. And in that day, there should be no more Canaanite in the house of the Lord of hosts. So let's jump to Revelation chapter 21, since I've been quoting it a lot. I think I said the 12 apostles, the apostles' name is going to be on each foundation. I want to find that one. If I could find a verse. This is Revelation chapter 21. Verse 14, it says, and the wall of the city had 12 foundations, and in them the names of the 12 apostles of the Lamb. So they're going to be glorified through the Lord too, through his name, and their name is going to be on each foundation of the kingdom of heaven. Then I think I said something about what the other nations would be doing. This is verse 24. It says, and the nations of them which are saved shall walk in the light of it, and the kings of the earth do bring their glory and honor into it. So the nations that should be saved with salvation is for who? Israel. Romans chapter 9. But the other kings of the earth, they're going to bring their glory and their honor to it. And says, and the gates of it should not be shut at all by day, for there shall be no night therein. And they should bring the glory and their honor of the nations into it, meaning that they gonna be bringing whatever so glory and honor they got to our gates. That's why it's gonna be open to give to us. We just read that in what's that? Zechariah chapter 14. And there shall no wise enter into it anything that defileth, neither whatsoever worketh abomination or maketh a lie, but they which are written in the Lamb's book of life. So who is it for? Who's written in the Lamb's book of life? It's only Israelites. Jumping back to verse 12. And had a great wall and high, and had 12 gates, and at the gates 12 angels, and the name written thereon, which are the names of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. Jumping back to verse 2. And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, referring to the Israelites, coming down from God out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, behold, the tabernacle of God is with men, and he should dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and God himself should be with them and be their God. Well, we just read Joshua chapter 9. Everybody knew that the Lord was the God of Israel. And the Lord said he don't change. So when he says be their God, who is he talking about? This is clearly talking about Israelites. Let's get Isaiah chapter 14 to show you how it's going to happen, right? Like we said, all these other nations is going to want to come be servants, just like they was in Joshua 9. When we get that fame throughout every land, and they see that the Lord is the God of Israel, they're going to come want to be servants and want to be under us. They're going to be offering themselves, right? And this is what's going to happen when they do offer themselves. Isaiah chapter 14 verse 1. For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land. So we keep hearing about this, and this is referring to Revelations 21. New Jerusalem coming down into their own land. He said he's going to have mercy on Jacob, not the whole world, man. He said he's going to choose Israel, not the whole world, and set them in their own land. And the strangers should be joined into them, and they should cleave to the house of Jacob. And the people should take them and bring them to their place. So these other nations, we're going to take them and we're going to bring them to their place, right? They're going to be offering themselves, so we're going to take them. And the ones that's not offering themselves, Luke 19:27. The Lord said, bring them in front of me and slay them. right? So, but the ones that do, we're gonna bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord. So remember, Amos 9 just told us that we were gonna possess all the heathen, we're gonna possess Edom. We know what a possession is. You gotta do what we say, or else. Or Luke 19:27 is gonna happen. So we go possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids, and they should take them captives who captives they were. So who had us in captivity? Who has us in captivity today? Who took down the Native Americans? Who took down the Negroes? Who took down the Hispanics? That's who had us in captives. Whoever that is, we gonna have them in captivity, right? And they should rule over their oppressors. Who's oppressing us today? Who's killing the so-called black man, shooting them down in the street? Just had to wait a little bit for you to think about it. You know, it shouldn't be that hard. We gonna rule over them, or are they gonna be arm to arm and even with us and in the kingdom, and we, putting our minds together and shalom and shaking up with each other? No, it says we gonna rule over them. And it should come to pass in the day that the Lord shall give thee rest from thy sorrow and from thy fear and from the hard bondage wherein thou was made to serve. And that's what we're serving right now. But the Lord is going to give us rest from that. Here, let me find a precept for it. We're going to get great rest from that. This is Hebrews 4, verse 11. Let us labor therefore to enter into that rest, lest any man fall after the same example of unbelief. So you got to keep laboring, because you don't want to get lazy and then start showing that you don't really believe. So you justifying your faith by your works. So you want to keep laboring, so then you could enter into that rest that is talking about in Isaiah 14, verse 3. But verse 4, that thou should take up this proverb against the king of Babylon and say, how has thy oppressor ceased, that golden city? And that golden city ceased. And since it said that golden city, you should already know right off the bat, Revelation chapter 18, that it's talking about mystery Babylon. And that this is a future prophecy. So we gonna, how did that cease, man? We gonna take up this proverb against them. Right here, let me jump. Verse 21, prepare slaughter for his children for the iniquity of their fathers. So people say, well, we didn't put you in slavery. That was before us. Yeah, but we still got to prepare slaughter for the children, which will be you, for the iniquity that your fathers did. That they do not rise nor possess the land nor fill the faces of the world with cities. The same way I'm in bondage today because of what my forefathers did. My forefathers sinned against the Lord and taught us to sin against the Lord. And now we're in bondage to this day because of what they did. We're under the curses of Deuteronomy chapter 28 because of what they did, and because we are done, reincarnated. So because of what we did, circumcise your heart, repent. But it's the same thing. You can't escape the judgment that's coming on your nation, because really you are your forefathers. So that judgment has to play out, Here, let me get this one and probably close on this. Isaiah chapter 60. We gonna take the other nations, man, by force. Isaiah chapter 60. And this is coming from the Bible. I'm pulling all these different precepts to prove it to you. What more does all these precepts that I'm pulling, do they not exist? Or are you saying, if you don't think the other nations are going to be slaves in the kingdom, are you saying that I'm just delusional and all this stuff I'm reading just don't make no sense and I got it wrong and I'm breaking it all down wrong, when really this stuff is saying what it's saying verbatim? I'm just giving you examples, but it's saying what it's saying verbatim. I mean, how can you not? Like this one, Isaiah chapter 60, verse 14. The sons also of them that afflicted thee should come bending a knee unto thee. What does that mean? And who afflicted us? So whoever afflicted us, aren't they going to come bending a knee into us? This is a prophecy. And all they that despise thee shall bow down themselves down at the soles of thy feet, and they shall call thee the city of the Lord, the Zion of the Holy One of Israel. So, I mean, it says it verbatim. Here, let me see what I want. Yeah, thy gates. Let me jump back to verse 11. It says, therefore thy gates should be open continually. They should not be shut day nor night. that man may bring into thee the forces of the Gentiles, and that their kings may be brought. So our gates are going to be open for them to bring anything that they have of glory to us. And I mean, it pretty much says what it says verbatim. They gonna come, they gonna bow down to us, whoever afflicted us. There's no way around it. It doesn't say they're going to be in the kingdom. All right, the kingdom of heaven is going to be on earth, and everybody's just going to be one people, and everybody's going to be treated equal, and everybody's going to get and be on the same level and just rejoice all at the same time. No, it says that the sons of them that afflicted us going to come bending the knee. Is this going to happen right before the kingdom? No, it's going to happen in the kingdom, proving to you how the kingdom is going to be. So hopefully this has been edifying. If you have ears to hear. And I'm just going to say salvation to the elect, the 144, the multitude, right? And shalom.